Yo, what is going on, guys? Flashverse here, and welcome back to another video on The Fly Season 8, and this will be my review and breakdown for The Fly Season 8 Episode 1, titled Armageddon Part 1. And right off the bat, guys, just giving you guys my quick initial thoughts on the episode. I really enjoyed it. I watched the episode twice. First time I found it pretty good, but I enjoyed it even more the second watch. For a premiere, it really did what it needed to do. It really set up the storyline in a really great way. We had a lot of badass moments with Barry, which I was really happy about. They were really able to highlight this level up with his speed in a really satisfying way. We got to see every character have something to do and sometimes have some moments to shine, and we had some great character development and interactions, which was something I loved. We obviously got Despero's arrival and many other cool things, which I will discuss in more detail in just a bit, especially that big reveal related to Armageddon. Obviously, the episode does have issues, but I will go over those issues when I get into the breakdown itself. But overall, this episode exceeded my expectations. I just started to keep my bar low due to my disappointment with Season 7. But this episode was a massive step up compared to Season 7. I can't believe I'm saying this, but wow, Eric Wallace. I am very impressed with this episode, and I'm really looking forward to the upcoming episodes as well. But obviously, for those who haven't seen the episode, then spoiler alert, because this is a review and breakdown after all, so I'll be going over some spoilers which you certainly would want to hear from me. So if you haven't seen the episode, go watch the episode and come back later for this review and breakdown. But for those who are staying, be sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you are aware of more Arrowverse content coming your way. Okay, so yeah, this episode kicks off 10 years into the future in the year 2031. And we see all of Central City in chaos. There was literally a massacre taking place. And later on in the episode, we do obviously find out that Barry is the one which causes this. Barry is the one who causes Armageddon. We do get this really cool narration by Despero, and then we do obviously see him pop up on the screen as he presumably time travels to 2021 to go after the Flash once he vows to stop the product of what's happened, and that was obviously the Flash. So he's gonna go after the Flash and he's going to wipe him from existence. But this is obviously what Armageddon is all about. The future is not set in stone yet, and this is just one possible future that is set so far, and every decision Barry takes in this past will either lead towards or lead away from this massacre taking place, and I'm really interested to see how it plays out. But yeah, the concept of Armageddon is essentially to explore a possible future taking place, in which this is a possible future taking place for the Flash. It's not set in stone yet, but it's a possible future. Now, this is something a lot of you guys may have missed, but when we actually cut to the new title card, and we have the shot of Barry over here, this is actually a shot we've never seen of Barry before, and he is wearing like eye makeup under his eyes, and that eye makeup really reminds me of the time from Season 6 Episode 7 when obviously Barry went crazy due to him being infected by Bloodworks blood. But yeah, this is actually our very first look at Evil Barry, which we will presumably see during episode 3 or 4 this season. But we do know that this is Evil Barry because he's wearing the current suit, and this is a shot we've never seen before. And Grant Gustin's hairstyle in this shot is actually the exact same one he had throughout this episode. So we do know that this is something which is new, and this is actually an evil shot of Barry. So this is Evil Barry. Now, this premiere takes place a couple of months after Season 7. Bart and Nora have obviously gone back to the future, and we open up in present day with Caitlin and Barry interacting with one another. They're having a great moment together, and I really enjoyed this interaction between the two. They're also talking about each other's lives, where Caitlin says that she's ready to move on and go back out there and basically live a better life. She wants to start dating again and stuff like that, and Barry's obviously in full support of that. But there's a train collision which is about to take place, and this is where we see this more confident and more badass version of Barry, where he just speeds to that area and just begins to save everyone in harm's way. It was so cool to see, and just really showcases the level up he has from last season's finale with the speed boost. But I did really like that shot where Barry just punches out of the glass and he saves that person. It was a really cool scene, and I really enjoyed it. Now, I'm just going to go over this whole storyline now because I really want to spend more time on the juicy stuff. But we do also see this upgraded version of the Central City Citizen, where it's now become CCC Media, or Central City Citizen Media. And I really like the storyline with Iris for this episode. This is exactly what she should be doing. None of that plot device stuff with time sickness or whatever. We know we're still getting that, but these are the storylines I prefer for Iris. But we do have her interviewing Kramer about her experiences with being a meta and, what she's trying to do to improve on the person she was before. And we had some great character development, not only with Kramer, but with Allegra as well, which was pretty surprising because they did it in a way which was really convincing. Whereas for last year, Allegra was just there and she literally did nothing. So I'm glad that she got this push during this episode. But we do also have Allegra getting some sort of a promotion, and this does come with his struggles, which I'll go over in just a second. But we do also find out that Sue Dearborn bought the Citizen, which obviously sets her return up down the road. We do also have a lot of staff working in the Citizen, which was obviously something which was new. It is a couple of months time span, so it is understandable that, Central City Citizen ended up getting more employees and various other things like that. Allegra was obviously facing the challenges of this promotion, and the staff were just, being hard to work with. We did get that transition later on in the episode where Iris gives her a necessary pep talk to motivate her, which does lead her into becoming more confident in herself. She believes more in herself. She trusts herself more, and obviously Iris does also trust her as well. Iris was playing this, boss role really well as well. Now, this episode did also make Iris a much better character with all of the CCC media stuff, so I do really, really hope we get more of that. But we then cut to Barry and Iris in their loft, and they are essentially having a nice time together. Barry goes to Italy to grab some pizza, and Iris's time sickness has been brought up, which is nice since they have reminded the audience that this storyline is still present because they didn't really showcase it that well for season 7. But obviously it will be more explored deeply as we progress more into the season after Armageddon. They do also mention the kids and how they're still trying to have a baby. But yeah, Ray Palmer comes in and he completely intervenes with their nice moment together, which was really funny, and he is in need of desperate accommodation because he will be part of the TechCon which is taking place. We got some really nice catch-up moments between Barry and Ray during this episode, which was something I really liked as well. Ray did also mention how he's been out of touch with the Legends for quite a bit, and that's obviously the case because for those who watch Legends of Tomorrow, you guys would know that the Wave Rider got destroyed and the Legends are essentially stuck in the 1920s. But Ray's back to being himself. We do have Chester arriving as well, who essentially is like a liaison to Ray. But yeah, Barry and Iris make an excuse to leave the house due to that horrendous drink Ray made for them. So yeah, that was pretty hilarious as well. Now we then have the Royal Flush Gang show up, in which you could say they're technically the villains of the week for this episode, but they aren't the big bads for this episode. But yeah, they do steal some tech. They have also leveled up and they now have some metahuman abilities as well. I did have an issue with the Royal Flush Gang because a lot of their dialogue was really cringy, even taking out the card terminology where they're like, oh, you're going all in, oh, I guess you folded. Those are understandable, they're the Royal Flush Gang for a reason. But in some instances, it was really, really cheesy. Something I really loved in this episode was the fact that Barry did some CSI work throughout the episode, and it was more than once. He does it later on as well. But it's just great to see more of that, and we do also get this nice interaction between Kramer and Barry as well, in which Barry mentions that he was under the weather when the Royal Flush Gang first showed up, although that's a lie because we obviously know, and they showed this through flashbacks, that Barry was in a coma when the Royal Flush Gang first showed up. I thought these recurring flashbacks throughout the episodes were pretty cool. I do really like this more improved version of Kramer where, she seems like a more likable character than she was last season. We do also have Barry further investigating these crimes in his lab as well. He's with Cecile. This is when Barry heads over to Iron Heights to stop the Royal Flush Gang from executing their plans, but it was too late. We then have Chester and Ray having a couple of scenes together in Jitters. Chester's being a bit pushy and he is trying to, put all this stuff on Ray. He's putting all this pressure on Ray about like, helping others set up their businesses and other things like that. But Ray just wants to be himself, and he doesn't want to focus on Palmer Tech or just set up anything else that is new. This does, upset Chester due to this big misunderstanding. So that was a great, theme which played out throughout the episode as well. But this is when we have Team Flash gathered around in the Cortex, where we have Team Flash discussing how they're going to defeat the Royal Flush Gang, and Chester mentions something about cryptocurrency, which actually enables Barry to figure out what the gang is doing. They have not changed their strategy, they're just going after something else, which is cryptocurrency heists instead. But this is something I really liked, where Barry figures something out on his own without too much help. And even in the confrontation sequence between him and the Royal Flush Gang, where he defeats them alone without any help, I love that. This is exactly how Barry should be right now. He has genuinely leveled up, and you could actually see that just seeing from what he's doing compared to previous seasons. He's definitely a lot more confident. He actually knows what he's doing, which is something I really, really loved. It was like an icing on the cake, in my opinion. And speaking of the Flash versus the Royal Flush Gang sequence, that Flash time scene was just amazing to see. I really loved it. I don't know if it's just me, but the lightning looked a bit weird. But other than that, this scene was just really, really cool. Hopefully this level up is a long-lasting thing which progresses into the other seasons, and it's not just like, a one-time thing which pleases the fans and the writers just ditch that afterwards. I hope that's not the case, because this version of Barry is just way better than the Barry we had previously. We then cut to the CC TechCon, where we have Chester doing a vlog, and he's being distant around Ray because he obviously feels embarrassed. I did really like how Barry joined Chester's stream as well. I thought that was pretty funny. Now, one great interaction during this sequence is when Barry gave Ray this really, really nice pep talk about innovating tech that is not out there yet, and I thought that was really nice. We then head over to Ray being interviewed by Iris, which is then shortly intervened due to Despero stepping in, and man, oh man, he was frightening, especially when he used his mind control abilities and just, threatened everyone. I thought that was just really, really ruthless and just pretty scary. But we did get this pretty interesting conversation between Despero and Barry, and we find out that Despero wants to end Barry's existence due to something happening, which is due to Barry being the product of Armageddon emerging. He mentions that Barry becomes evil in the future and goes rogue, which essentially causes chaos across Central City, and it's just so intriguing. We did have Despero transform into alien form as well, and he looks really good. I was very surprised with how they were able to pull it off, especially during the day, and the budget which the CW have. I was really shocked. The facial capture looks great, the movement of Despero looks great, the fighting in that CGI form looks great. It was just perfect for the budget this show had, and in fact it exceeded what I was expecting, and it looks really damn cool. We did then get the Atom coming in, and he's assisting the Flash with his fight against Despero. It was really cool. Despero does have the upper hand in some moments, and I did really like, once again, how Barry begins to use more of his abilities. I did also really like the moment where the Atom shrinks Barry with him. I found that really cool, and Barry started to feel sick, which again I thought was really funny. It was this nice callback to Diggle, where Diggle obviously throws up every single time Barry runs him, and Barry nearly threw up when Ray shrunk him, so I thought that was pretty nice. The one thing I absolutely adored, I was just like, wow, and I got chills everywhere, and I was so glad that they brought this back. But it was when Barry caused distraction via a speed mirage, and he was using it against Despero. I loved that. But due to Despero's powers, he was able to identify the correct speedster, and he just blasts him away with a punch. It was so cool, and I really liked it. But Despero does, show Barry the future, where he does actually cause all of that massacre across Central City. It was a pretty short but sweet scene. I can't wait to see where that goes from this episode onwards. I will obviously do an ending explained video after my trailer breakdown. But yeah, Ray saves Barry by messing with some tech in Despero's belt, and Despero is gone for the time being. But Team Flash then discuss what is going on, and they talk about the future which Barry saw, in which Cecile and Caitlin both confirm that whatever vision Barry saw was true. It does actually happen. Barry does begin to doubt himself, even to such an extent where he's like, okay, am I actually capable of this? Have I actually done this? Obviously, Team Flash do not believe it because they know the type of person Barry is, but Barry himself questions it after Despero shows him that vision as well, and I thought that was pretty nice. We then have Ray Palmer telling Chester that he will be establishing a foundation under Chester's name, which I thought was a great moment between the two. It was such a great scene to resolve that conflict, if you will, which they had throughout the episode. But Ray does give Barry a plan, which is to actually show Despero who he really is. And that's when obviously Barry gets the idea to do the identity reveal in front of Despero, in which we cut to the end credits scene where we obviously have Barry calling Despero. It's a pretty intense scene, and Despero does reveal that Barry becomes a killer, and he becomes this ruthless threat in the future, in which Barry offers Despero to read his mind to see if Barry's actually being genuine, in which Despero concludes after reading his mind that he does actually sense honesty, he does appreciate what Barry does, but he's still not convinced. He does trust what he sees in the future and what he knows about the future, so he gives Barry a 7-day warning to prove that he's not capable of those horrific things, such as becoming a killer, and to obviously show that he cannot be the cause of Armageddon, and that obviously Barry reveals his identity to Despero. Now, another issue I did have about this episode was that there were too many side stories, which isn't a bad thing for character development, and it did give these moments for other characters to shine, which was something I do really appreciate, but I do wish there was a bit more Barry. But this episode did genuinely stick the landing regardless. It wasn't that big of a complaint, it was just something I wished a bit more, which was just more of Barry. But I thought this episode was great either way. I thought it was a really good episode. It's established this story very well, and I'm very excited to see where all of this goes. I'm really looking forward to episode 2 and obviously beyond. Apparently episodes 4 and 5 are crazy, so I'm looking forward to those the most. But yeah, I'll give this episode an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it, but there are some areas which it can still improve on. But yeah guys, thanks for watching. If you guys have enjoyed the video, please give a like and subscribe. Be sure to tell me in the comment section down below what you guys are most excited for going into the upcoming episodes of The Flash Season 8. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video.